Dr. Laurie Garrett has been with us before. Her book, The Coming Plague, Newly Emerging Diseases in a World Out of Balance, was a real wake-up call for me personally, an extraordinary piece of scholarship, and Betrayal of Trust, The Collapse of Global Public Health, another brilliant book. She's a writer, senior fellow for global health on the Council of Foreign Relations, and is now tackling food prices and global instability. Dr. Laurie Garrett, CFR.org, by the way, the website. Dr. Laurie Garrett, welcome back to the program.
Pleasure.
So I'm hearing two stories, and maybe you can help, or three stories. Maybe you can help sort this out. One story is the story told by, for example, Matt Taibbi in Rolling Stone and many others, that global food prices and commodity prices, particularly back in 2008, but even now, are being jacked up in large part because there was a change in the rules some years back, and commodity speculators no longer have to actually take physical possession of commodities, and so it's become a casino, which drives prices up. That's story one. Story two, we are 6 going on 7 billion people. We've maxed out the green revolution. We're wiping out topsoil all over the planet. Global warming is changing the ability to produce food, and we're facing a genuine food shortage colliding with a Malthusian population. And story three, none of the above are the case, and Monsanto is going to save us all because they've got this new wonderful seed, and everything, just don't worry, be happy. This is just a blip on the radar screen. What's really going on?
Well, a little bit of story one, a little bit of story two, and as far as I know, 0 of story three.
Okay.
Yes, there has been commodity price speculation, and it continues. So I don't really think that the change in the regulatory system regarding commodity investment is the reason. My research would indicate that it had more to do with huge numbers. I mean, the volume of investment in commodities jumped almost exponentially in the space of about 12 months' time, right, starting in mid-2007. And it reflected a heightened anxiety among investors that stocks were not reliable. They sensed something was coming before the actual September crash of the global financial markets in 2008. And they also were becoming anxious about their real estate plays. Everybody could feel, and everybody that had any intelligence and had a pulse could feel that things had gotten out of control.
Well, it was being written about fairly openly, actually, in the Financial Times in the months leading up to it.
Exactly.
A number of commentators, and Nouriel Roubini, of course, the most famous of the doomsayers, but it wasn't a secret to anybody who was paying attention to what was coming down.
Nobody, and so what you saw were more and more very big investors trying to find other ways to make a play.
Sure.
One was to buy gold. One was to play with oil, which is highly volatile and not a good space for amateurs.
Yep.
But what happened was a lot of people jumped into the commodity investment scene who had never been there before and had no real idea what the rules are, what the game is, and certainly no sense of a moral obligation to somehow keep the price of food down.
Right, because the result of this was literally global food riots and starvation.
It was a huge jump in food prices that started in late November 2007, but skyrocketed between January and April of 2008, and did not settle down until there had been intervention from many levels, including the World Bank, the IMF, and the World Food Program, just in overdrive.
Right. Plus, the markets started recovering, and so people started moving their money out of commodities and back into equities.
Well, and another thing that shifted was when the U.S., under the Obama administration, eliminated the tying of food aid. For years, for decades, our form of food aid was not to give money for agricultural development, but to actually compel needy countries to receive our surplus food supplies shipped all the way from the middle of the United States at tremendous energy cost and financial
by way
cost.
of subsidies to ADM and whatnot to the agriculture industry.
And the result on the ground in the recipient country would be to distort local markets by providing free food or close to free, with the NGOs taking their cut off the top.
And to some extent, isn't this what led to the tortilla wars in Mexico and that kind of thing?
Had a big impact on the tortilla riots in Mexico in 2008.
Right.
And in general, is something that has now been abandoned. And the Obama administration made commitments at the G8 summit in June of 2009, saying, okay, we're going to create a Food for Peace program. We're going to go for big-time food security. We're working with the Gates Foundation and other international players, including the World Bank, to subsidize programs to improve the status of farming around the world.
But are we looking at a Malthusian moment? Are we looking at a collision between our planet's ability to produce food and the number of people around the planet, or even a subset of that? Peak oil, global peak oil, not just our ability to produce food, but our ability to transport it at reasonable prices.
Let me give you a couple other things to muddy the water.
We just have about 3 minutes here left.
Okay, well, first of all, when oil prices go up, the cost of producing, distributing food and fertilizer skyrocket.
Sure.
So we're also looking at that part of the equation. Yes, we have more mouths to feed, but it's not the absolute number of mouths to feed. Poor people that don't eat much are cheap, and they're not a big drain on the global food supply. The drain on the global food supply is 2 billion Asians entering the middle class.
India and China.
Right. And to a lesser degree, Southeast Asia and Indonesia. And as you get more and more hungry Asian mouths saying, yeah, we would like chicken in every pot, we would like to have steak on Sunday, just like you do in the United States, then you really distort agricultural production, and it costs a lot more water, fertilizer, everything, and arable soil to feed people meat versus grain.
Right. So we should be promoting global vegetarianism? I mean, what's the solution here? What's the end game, Laurie Garrett?
There's one more pressure point.
Sure.
The reason corn prices are skyrocketing is ethanol. And the Bush administration creation of ethanol subsidies, which has put such a pressure on our Midwest farmers to grow low-quality maize intended to be burned for cars rather than high-quality corn intended to fuel human beings.
Right.
And then the final coup de grace is what we're feeling right now is a resilience moment. And what I mean by that is we haven't yet hit the point where we're maxing out on our water and our soil and all of that. That's still decades away. But what we have hit is the point where we're not resilient. So all you need are giant fires sweeping in the summer through Russia and Ukraine, wiping out their wheat crops, and then those two countries put a cap and say no export.
And Egypt's the largest importer of wheat in the world, and surprise, surprise, they're having the equivalent of food riots.
Food riots. And all you need is foot and mouth disease breaking out in South Korea and then starting to spread into Japan and North Korea, and all of a sudden all export of beef and meat products ceases in the region.
Right.
And we just don't have the kind of resilience that can absorb these shocks that come from pests, climate, weather.
In 30 seconds, is there a way to acquire that?
Well, the best way to acquire it is both improve the nature and efficiency of how everybody does farming around the world, and also start paying attention to our seed stock and really preserving high-quality crop production.
Localizing things, would that be a good way of saying it as well?
Yeah, localizing and improving efficiency and skills.
Dr. Laurie Garrett, the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR.org. Dr. Garrett, thanks again for being with us today.